there, my name is Megan and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm coming to you guys with another book haul. So I actually already posted a May book haul. I did it way at the beginning of the month because I wasn't expecting to acquire any more books anytime soon. And I just want to say that all of these books, except for one, were gifts from you amazing, lovely, awesome people. And I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for your acts of kindness. Reading in general helps me get through hard times. It's an escape for me. It's one of my passions. But whenever I receive a gift from you guys, especially recently, you just don't know how much that means to me and how grateful and thankful I am for your kindness. Just small acts of kindness really, really help me get through some really hard times. So thank you everybody who has sent me a book in the last couple of weeks from the bottom of my heart, and I cannot wait to read all of them. I don't know when I'm going to be able to read all of them, but definitely am very excited for all of these. But before we go ahead and get on into the haul, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as well as the little bell icon so you can be notified every time I post new bookish content. I post new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and sometimes other days throughout the week. Also, don't forget to check down in the description box for links to my social media, my Buddy Read Discord, and my Patreon, where you can be entered into winning book giveaways from me. The first 4 books were a gift from a bookish friend, Michelle, so thank you so much, Michelle. I am excited for all of these. But the first book is Between Two Fires by Christopher Buehlman. So I first became familiar with this author's name when I was making my most anticipated fantasy releases of 2021 video, like months and months ago, and The Black Tongue Thief was one of the books that I was really excited for and still am. But apparently he has published a bunch of other stuff. This is actually self-published. I don't know if it's his first ever written book, but it is self-published. And Michelle said she really liked this. But Christopher Buehlman apparently writes horror fantasy, and The Black Tongue Thief is more of like your, I guess, traditional fantasy, but these have more horror elements, which like I'm so excited for. But this book, I can't gather that much from the synopsis on the back. It follows a couple of characters, a priest, a young orphan girl, and then a knight, as they have to traverse the medieval countryside during the Black Plague. And they're on a mission that might somehow save themselves and save the world. So I don't really know anything else about this. I don't really know what that could mean, but this cover is totally creepy because it's got like a knight on here, but it's got a skull or skeleton face. So the cover just looks creepy, and I'm very interested in this one. It just seems like it would be really cool, and also the setting during the Black Plague and just like all of that, what all of that entails, seems like a really interesting read. So thank you, Michelle, for sending this to me. Then she sent me The Necromancer's House, which is also by Christopher Buehlman, and this is a standalone like horror fantasy, and it is traditionally published. But this follows a character named Andrew, and he is a warlock living in modern day times, and he somehow stole a bunch of magic or magical artifacts from the Soviet Union and has hid them in his house underneath all of these magic spells and booby traps so that no one will be able to access it. But a monster actually emerges straight out of the books of Russian fairy tales and folklore to attack Andrew and get the magic. So this book follows this warlock as he attempts to defeat this evil monster. And it just sounds wild and interesting, and I'm really excited to read about the Russian folklore because I know absolutely nothing about it. So I think that this book will be full of surprises, so I'm glad to have it in my possession. Next, she sent me Sins of an Empire by Brian McKellen. This is book 1 in his Gods of Blood and Powder trilogy, which is a spin-off from the Powder Mage trilogy, which I have right here, and I read a couple years ago and really enjoyed it. But once again, I couldn't really gather a lot about what this series was about. All I know is it follows a group of characters. It follows the Lady Chancellor of this small country, the general of a mercenary army, a spy, and a war hero as they are trying to suppress the rebellion of this oppressed people within this country, which sounds kind of weird. Like, you'd think that it would be the opposite. There would be an oppressed people that was trying to rise up against the government. So it just sounds like a really kind of backward premise. But like I said, I really enjoyed the Powder Mage trilogy. I found Brian McKellen's books easily digestible and fast to get through despite their length. So I'm glad to have this new series of his in my collection. And lastly, she sent me Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. This is his newest sci-fi novel. I read The Martian by Andy Weir about 2 years ago and really enjoyed it. So this book sounds really, really cool. And it was also one of my most anticipated new releases of 2021. But in this book, we follow a character named Ryland, and he wakes up one day in space and can't remember anything. And he is the lone survivor on this spaceship. All of his comrades have been killed or died. And as his memories slowly return, he remembers that he is on this mission to save humanity. There is this threat against humanity, and he and his crew were sent to save the world. And Rylan is now the only one living, so he has to figure out how to save humanity on his own. But then he ends up getting help from an unexpected source. I don't know if it's going to be aliens or AI. I don't know, but it just sounds like kind of a hero story, and knowing Andy Weir, there's going to be some humor in it. So I'm really excited to have this, and hopefully I can get to it sometime during the summer. The next book was sent to me by a bookish friend, Jane, and that is Grey Sister by Mark Lawrence. This is book 2 in his Book of the Ancestors trilogy. I just started reading Mark Lawrence. I'm going to be reading his books in publication order. At least that's the plan for now. So I'm just read Prince of Thorns a couple of weeks ago, and I plan on reading King of Thorns in June. This has nothing to do with that series, but I do want to knock out some of his earlier series before jumping into this one. But I've heard nothing but good things about Red Sister, Grey Sister, and Holy Sister. All I know is it follows kind of like a nunnery that is actually training girls to be assassins. That's all I know. I could be completely wrong, but that sounds cool enough. That's all I need to know going into it. I cannot wait to get to the series because he writes very dark things and his prose is very dark and beautiful. So thank you, Jane, for sending this to me. And next, I was sent Best Served Cold by a bookish friend, Madison. She does have a channel, so I'll definitely link her channel up in the cards. Check out her content. She is just the coolest person in the world. But this is the first book in Abercrombie's standalone trilogy. I think all of these are standalone books. I really don't know. All I know is I'm trying to up my Abercrombie collection because I do want to read more of his work, and this was the next one that I need to read because I've read the First Law trilogy. I know nothing about it, absolutely nothing. I'm just excited to have it in my collection. So thank you so much, Madison. And then another bookish friend, Joey, sent me Heroes by Joe Abercrombie, which is the second book that follows Best Served Cold. So I officially have this entire trilogy, and he is such a sweetheart because not only did he send me Heroes, he sent me The Trouble with Peace, which is the next trilogy. I actually have the first book in the series, A Little Hatred, I think it's called, that I got for my birthday. And the third book is coming out soon, or has come out. I know the cover has been revealed. So I am so excited to have all of these Abercrombie books, and I cannot wait to read them. So thank you so much, Joey, for sending this to me. It warms my heart. It means the world. You have no idea. Next, I was sent Shadow of the Gods by Stephanie. She is one of my subscribers and patrons, and when I opened this, I screamed. This was a book that I was not planning on buying for myself or getting for a long time because I wanted to get through the Faithful and the Fallen quartet before I delved into more John Gwynne. But this was a book that was on my most anticipated 2021 releases list, and I've just heard nothing but good things about it, and I keep seeing it around, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need this book. I want to read it so bad. So Stephanie, you are amazing. You're awesome. I really appreciate you getting this for me, and she is going to read it or is reading it soon, so I told her she better give me all the tea about this book and how she likes it. All I know about this book is that it is Norse inspired, and at one time gods kind of came down to earth, but the gods battled and then destroyed themselves, and it follows 3 different characters as they have to go on a quest for something. And when I was originally researching this book earlier in the year, I could have sworn that there was bone magic in here. I'm not really sure, but I might be making that up. But I think there might have something to do with the bones of these ancient gods that had died on Earth. And then, of course, we have a dragon on the cover, and I don't know how this dragon plays into this book, but you give me a book with a dragon, and I'm here for it. So very excited to have this, and thank you again, Stephanie. The next book is an independently published book, and the author reached out to me to see if I wanted a copy of it, and that is Warlocks and Sorceresses, the Timeless Grimoire. This is a first book in a series written by Antonio Garlaza, and it's very short, and Honestly, I'm not sure if it's YA or not because it kind of like when I was reading the back, it reminds me of a YA setup. So I'm not really sure. And just because of the length, it might be YA. But it follows a boy named Victor during the early 1900s who suffers from seizures. And one day he realizes that he actually has access to magical abilities. An enchantress comes and tells him that he needs to go to this magical school. So it sounds very much like your traditional fantasy setup, and it definitely has that magical school trope, which are all things that I enjoy. So thank you, Victor, for sending this to me. And like I said, it's not terribly long. So once I get to it, I will definitely be posting a review on my channel. And the last book is the only one that I purchased for myself, and that is The 12 Kings of Sharakai by Bradley Ballou, I think is how you say the name. And this is a book that I had seen around for a long, long time. There are 5 books, I think, out in the series, and it's one that had been getting some buzz in the fantasy community again, so thought I'd go ahead and grab a copy of it for myself. In this world, for 400 years, this desert has been ruled by these kings, and these kings are ruthless and cruel and oppress the people, and no one has ever tried to rise up against them, or if they've tried, the rebellion has been quelled. But then we follow a character who rises up from these fighting pits, and she is known as the White Wolf. And she rises up and tries to defy these 12 kings. And the way that she initially does that is she decides to go outside the kingdom into the desert, which is forbidden, and she uncovers a secret that might be the undoing of these rulers. So it sounds once again like a very traditional fantasy setup, but I really like the idea of a desert fantasy setting. Fantasy settings I do really enjoy, and I feel like there's not enough of them. So I don't know when I'll be getting to this series, but it piqued my interest and it sounded good, so I thought I'd grab a copy. All right, you guys, so that is it for my second May book haul. Let me know in the comments if you have read any of these books and what you thought of them, or some books that you have acquired in the month of May, and I will see y'all soon in another video. Goodbye.